There are two ways to jump over a building in DaVinci Resolve. And I'm going to show you how to do it.
So before we even get into editing the footage, you need to make sure that you shot it correctly. You need to get your camera as low to the ground as possible because you need to make your figure look as big as possible in front of the camera, or in front of the building, sorry. So that when you actually jump, that your feet actually go above the house or above the building, because if they don't, you're gonna have to do some extra manual keyframing. But just make sure that you have a wide angle lens and put your camera really close to the ground and you'll be good to go. So I have my clip here. I have some clean plate footage right here, just of the building, so that I can mask this. And then I have myself doing the actual effect over here. So I'm just gonna take that. I'm gonna Control B, cut it at the start, cut it at the end, just clean that up. So now I have my clip, me walking into frame, saying my line. I'm gonna go to the very start where I just have some clean footage. Yeah, that's great. And I'm gonna just delete the middle there. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my clean footage and drag it over top of my original footage, of my walking footage. I'm gonna go like that, drag it over top like so. And now, as you can see, we just have the clean plate over top of the footage. Now let's head into the color page. With our clean plate selected, let's right click in the node graph here and let's add an alpha output. This just lets us export transparency to the edit page inside of DaVinci Resolve. And we're gonna take this blue line right here and drag it into the alpha output. And now if we go into the masking here in the power windows, we're gonna grab the pen tool and we're gonna draw a mask around the top of the house lines. So we're gonna draw like this. I'm using my cursor wheel to zoom in to be more accurate. Something like so. Okay, and I don't really walk on this side of the frame, so it doesn't really matter. Now I'm just gonna draw around the outside of this entire frame. And now as soon as I close that up, because our alpha out is connected, if we go back to the edit page, you can see that the building is already in front of us as we're walking. So we already have most of the effect done. Now pretty much all that you do is you go forward until you're above the house and you turn off this front clean plate, and now you'll be able to land down in front of the house again. But in my case, you're gonna see that there's a bit of a difference because in my shot, it was snowing pretty good. So there's a bit of a difference in lighting and in the snow that's moving around. So it's a little bit drastic. So what I'm gonna do with that is I'm just gonna zoom in, and this is just a really quick fix, just because it's not really gonna be noticeable at all. So right here, you can see my toes are pretty much above the house, really close. And then I'm just gonna go to right there, something like that. My feet are now in front of the house, but I'm just gonna fade this in. And technically my feet are sort of gonna fade behind the house slightly, but it's just gonna soften that transition. And if we play that back, now I jump over and the effect is done. What we can do in the color page as well with the clean plate, this guy right here, is we can just increase the softness a little bit. If you press this icon here, you can just turn off the viewer, the controls on the viewer, so that you can get a better view, because it's pretty jagged right now. But if you take the soft one and just turn that up a little bit, you just get a bit of a creamier line. And there you go. Your effect is done for the easy method.
There are two ways to jump over a building in DaVinci Resolve. And I'm going to show you how to do it.
Now let's take this into Fusion and make sure it stands out compared to all the other content you see out there. So first things first, I'm gonna take my original clean plate footage and I'm gonna go into the color page. I'm just gonna reset this node grade, disconnect that. And now we just have our clean plate over our footage. I'm gonna select both, right click and hit new Fusion clip. Now let's go into Fusion. Let's delete our merges, delete the background, and let's connect the media 1 to the media out, just like so. And before we do anything else, we're gonna add a magic mask into our Fusion page. We're gonna drag the media 1 into that magic mask, open that up, and we're gonna draw over our subject here, just like so, making sure that we select everything. In this case, I am gonna select the mode to better so that we get a bit of a better mask. Let's make sure a hand is added. I'm just gonna draw everything else like so, track forward and backwards. All right, that magic mask is done. Let's just put that to the side. Let's take our media 2, which this is our clean plate footage, and let's drag it over top of our media 1. Let's add a merge node, and let's place that right in the middle there. Drag this over top. So now our clean plate footage is over top of our regular footage. Now let's do a polygon mask, and let's let's invert it first, and then let's mask around the houses just like we did in the color page. All right, and let's uncheck invert. Perfect, we're behind the house again. Let's check out this edge. Let's increase the softness of our polygon just a little bit, just like so. All right, that's looking good. Now again, we want to blend this footage that's laid over top. We want to blend this down over a period of time. So the way that we're gonna do that is when my feet are completely above the building, I'm gonna take the merge. I'm gonna go forward maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe around there, and take the blend all the way down. And now you can see that we get sort of this slow blend, and the snow is gonna blend smoother together. But you see an issue, we got our feet going through the transparency of the house, which is fine. That's why we have this magic mask. We're gonna take this magic mask and merge it back over top of our footage. That's gonna fix that problem, but that's gonna play throughout the entire footage. So we need to make sure that that only turns on when we're above the building, which is right there. Let's add a keyframe to blend, go back 1 frame and turn it off. And now we're coming from behind the building. Magic mask is turned on. Everything's blending in nice, and it's a smooth transition. Now, in my opinion, there's 2 things that really sell a giant feature, something that's in the distance. There's 2 things that it has. There's one thing, there's a lot of light wrap. So if my character, if I was actually this big, there would be more light wrap, which is this glow coming around my body. When I'm actually right here, I think you'll be able to see it a little bit. You'll see that there's this bit of glow, this gradient that's going over my arm when I'm closer to where the sun is over here. And pretty much when you're bigger, that light wrap should also be bigger. So when I'm in the background here, if we add more light wrap, that's gonna make my person look a lot bigger. And then the second feature that we're gonna add is we're just gonna add some haze just in front of us so that there's a bit of separation between the foreground elements here and the background. Because again, foreground elements are gonna be more contrasty, just like this house here. Whereas the background, it's gonna be more faded and muted and less contrasty, if that makes sense. In essence, a light wrap, you just take the background footage and merge it over top, but just in this little sort of border around your person. Again, this is our background footage right here. I'm actually gonna drag this below, put our mask up top, just to keep things a little bit tidier. We're gonna take our background footage and merge it over top of everything else again. But now we're gonna add a matte control node, and we're gonna plug this into the mask of the merge 3. We're going to take the magic mask and plug it into the matte control. And now you can see the merge is only happening on the actual magic mask. But that's not what we want. We only want it on the edges here, and we want it to be faded in. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to add a blur node. We're going to take our magic mask, pipe it into the blur node. We're going to plug that into the foreground element of the matte control. With the matte control node selected, we're going to take the combine mode from none to combine alpha, and then we're going to change the combined operation from copy to subtract. Now pretty much this is the main footage going in, and it's saying subtract the main footage from it. But so if we take a look at this here, for example, we get this bit of a ring here because there's a slight blur, but as we increase that blur, you can see we're starting to get this effect that we're going for. But you can see as we increase this blur here, if I select A, you can see the alpha output. You can see that as I increase the blur, that just brings that light wrap just over top. And this is just being used as a mask to then mask our original footage, which is just going to be the original plate. So now if we take a look at our original footage, we can play around with this blur right here. And just increase the blur size a little bit just to add some glow or some light wrap there. And something that you'll usually want to do with this, in this case it doesn't matter as much because the sky is pretty blank, but you'll want to add a blur node to the element that you're masking over top. So like so. So this here should be blurred, something like that. So when it's being merged over top, it's actually quite blurry. But we're going to run into this bit of an issue because our magic mask is not perfect. So we're going to refine our magic mask a little bit. And pretty much I just want to create a harder edge. To do that, I'm going to go into the matte. I'm going to take the threshold controls and just dial them in a bit. And that's just going to create a bit of a harder matte around our character, something like so. And then if we view our merge, now we can play with this magic mask watching this. So let's push the erode dilate up a little bit so that just our whole person is being covered. And there now we have light wrap around our character. And you can always take the blend down a little bit. So let's maybe take the blend down a little bit, but let's increase the blur so that there's a bit more. So let's look at before and after. So this is before, very contrasty. It looks like we're close to the camera. After, now we have this light wrap. We look like we're sort of in the clouds. We're distant from the camera. But we can see it right now. There's actually a light wrap happening in front of the building as well. It's adding sort of this ghosting effect. So let's make sure that that doesn't happen by taking the original polygon we drew of the houses and piping that into the solid garbage matte of the matte control. So let's take this and pipe it into there. And now the light wrap is just limited to just my person. Okay, next, I just want to add a little bit of haze just to sort of the bottom of my person right here. So I'm just gonna do that with a background node. So let's add a background node. Let's change the color of the background node to the white in our scene. So let's pick a screen color like so. Let's blend this back over top of our footage. And if we view that here, now we just have a white screen. Now we're gonna take the polygon mask, which is our house mask, and we're gonna pipe that into the background node, just like so. Now we have a mask of just the houses that's showing as white. What we wanna do is with the background node selected, go into settings and apply mask inverted. So now it's doing the opposite effect. Now on the merge 4, we wanna add a rectangle node. I'm gonna go rectangle, just like so. And I'm just gonna place that over the bottom here. And I'm just gonna increase the soft edge like crazy, something like so. Okay, and in your scenario, you might have to do some different types of merging here to make this look good. But because my scene is so bright, the white just sort of blends in naturally already. But in this case now, again, let's turn this off and let's turn it on. So off, on, off, on. It just adds that distance. This edge looks a little bit sharp to me and the effect might be a little bit too strong. So let's just turn it down a little bit, maybe around there. And now we are a distant giant behind this building. We look like there's a lot of snow in front of us and a lot of atmosphere in front of us. Now we have these effects, but as you can see, once we actually jump over, which is gonna be right here, we need to change how the effect works a little bit because we want, just like we're blending the footage down, I'm actually gonna take the merge of this foreground sort of haze as we're jumping towards the camera. I'm gonna keyframe it and then I'm gonna go forward. And as I'm jumping over, so something right there, I'm gonna turn the blend down to 0. So now it actually sort of looks like we're having a lot more forward trajectory because the haze is going away as soon as we're jumping. We're gonna do the exact same thing with a light wrap. So I'm gonna add a keyframe on blend and go forward once we're actually closer to the camera and turn the blend all the way down again. And one more thing that is gonna really sell an effect like this is adding some type of shadow to correlate with my character. So in this case, I'm walking behind the house. So there should be a shadow that's being casted on this building right here. So I'm gonna draw a mask around that right now. So I'm gonna add a polygon node or a polygon mask, and I'm just gonna draw a mask. And again, you wanna draw this mask on anywhere that this face of light is bright as well. So up to about here, that's where you can see that same light is being hit. Same thing to here maybe. There's a bit of a rim light on there. All right, and then that's going to pipe into a background node. So let's add that to that, let's add that to that. Let's change the merge mode to multiply. Let's go down to a realistic shadow amount. So let's look at sort of the left side of the house where there's a shadow there. Let's go somewhere sort of close, something like that maybe. Obviously we have some really hard edges there, so let's go into our polygon and let's increase the soft edge a bit. But we don't want this ghosting effect, so now let's increase the border width just by a bit. It's gonna be less drastic, just like so. And now we have a shadow on that side of the house. but we're missing 2 parts here, right there and right there. So let's add 2 more polygons. Let's add a polygon there. Instead of merge, let's make sure it's added, because if we add any motion blur, merge sometimes has issues, add never has issues. Let's add 1 more polygon. All right, now we have a shadow on this house. Now we just want to animate that as I walk by. So I'm going to add a rectangle node to all of this now, which is connected to this merge right here. And I'm going to just change the angle just a little bit so it matches the house a little bit more, and then increase the soft edge. And now you just have to use your imagination. The sun is here, I'm here, so you have to figure out when I'm passing the sun and actually casting the shadow. So if I'm walking here, I would say maybe here's when I start. So I'm going to keyframe the width of this rectangle. I'm most in front of it here. So let's increase the width a little bit there, something like so. Let's go forward again as I pass it, and let's decrease the width completely. Now let's open the spline editor and let's just smooth out this animation a little bit so that it's a little bit smoother, just like so, a little less drastic. All right, and now your entire effect is done. You can add some camera shake to make it a little bit more realistic, but the essence of the effect is there. Now you have learned 2 ways to do the same effect. 1, super easy, super fast. 2, looks a little bit more high-end in my opinion.
There are 2 ways to jump over a building in DaVinci Resolve. And I'm going to show you how to do it.
Thanks again for watching my tutorial. If you guys are looking for any more DaVinci Resolve content, just make sure to subscribe, follow my channel. There's lots more posted and lots more coming. If you guys have any more suggestions for future tutorials, please let me know down in the comments below. That would be super, super helpful. Till next time.